Oh, Danabechu, good morning. Grandmothers, give you great greetings this morning. Thank you for giving us a great life on this morning of this beautiful sunrise on the Snake River in the Grand Tetons, homelands of many indigenous nations. We thank you for giving us the water and the rain and the life force energy to give us great blessings every day for the earth, for the wind, and the fire and the water, that you charge us with this life force spirit that brings us the rainbows, the water, the rain, the snow, the springs, and the breast of mother. And the grandmothers are standing within each and every face of these sacred mounds up here, the breast of mother. To the Snake River, the spiraling colors of rainbows through our Shoshone nations. Many prayers have been given for the buffalo, the deer, the elk, the antelope, and the wolf, and the grizzly, and the white eagle, the golden eagle. Many things are coming to pass as the prophecies are being fulfilled. From the sacredness of our grandmother moon to the sacredness of the clouds that bring us the rain through the Father sky, the blue water above us. We pray for peace and love and harmony for all of our nations to come together in peace. And the prophecies say, out of the heart of the Shoshone nations will come peace to the world. I pray, Great Father, Great Spirit, Mother Earth, that our nations will hear our call and our prayers put into the wind. The sacredness of the sacred beings that listen, that are so sacred, that they will listen to this message and carry it to the water. The wind is the water, the rivers, the springs, the snow. I put the message of love and peace and harmony for our people to come together. In 2 years, 2010, 2009, for a great happening and a great gathering to take place in the heart of the Grand Tetons, in the heart of the rose, the 5-petaled pink flower that represents peace, to the 5 nations of the 5 fingers of the hand as we come together, the eagle and the condor nations, the prayers of the people of the black, the white, the yellow, and the red, and the brown nations, the Aborigines of Australia, that we come together in a circle, calling all nations to this sacred place because of the love that we have for the trees that give us life, for the breath of life. Pray for the sickness and the sadness and the pain and the sorrows that has endured our sacred homelands, for the First Nations of the Americas, that they awaken to peace, to the love that they have for nature, for Mother Earth's gifts that she has given to each and every one of us. No matter what culture we are, it has been given to all of us through our Mother Earth, for we are all the children of Mother, no matter what color or nation or nationality. We are the same in one, for we're made of what the trees are, the river, the stones, the air. We're all made of these things, as the tree is made of these. We're related to all that it is. The animals are made of what I am. We're made of crystals. We're made of the colors of light. The red, the orange, the yellow, the green, the blue, the indigo, and the violet. And the sacredness of all these things in the Great Spirit had put the white in the prophecy through the white buffalo, that when these 7 colors spin together, become very sacred to the color of white that is made by these colors blending together. And out of these colors, they come out of the black darkness. So out of the darkness comes the light of the colors of the prisms of the rainbows through the sacred serpent. It's the Snake River, which has these colors as it spins and spirals. We send a great blessing to our ancient ones within the grand nations, within all that it is, and through these sacred mountains of the rainbows. And the Bavado, in our language, means the rainbows. So we call upon them to come. We call upon our sun dances and our sweat lodges, and the purifications that are taking place at this time of prophecy, as the great nations awaken, of the black, the white, the yellow and red nations, of the tribes of the earth, as we come together under the hand of peace. The animals have a great thing for us to consider this morning, through the raven that watches over us and clears us as it flies, and fans us with its wings and clears the darkness off around us. As a hawk comes in, or the eagle, and fans us and blesses us and circles above us. As a thunderbird represents the condor and a turkey vulture. We send great prayers for them and bless them as they watch over us. As the elk, they give us the power to help guide, to help see the wisdom and the truth of the earth through the animals, the teachers of wisdom and knowledge, just in the circle of life, that they bring us this great wisdom. And through the buffalo, that give us the power to walk and search and hunt for truth underneath the strength of the heart of the buffalo, as it walks and searches and looks left and right and forward and behind always, sees in all four directions as it walks, watching forever, never missing anything. And thanking the deer for giving us this love and compassion of the kindness within its heart, to help us learn love and peace and compassion. And to the sacred bear, who gives us the strength of the power of the earth. To the grizzly, we pray for the grizzly. And ask this sacred bear, the white bear, to come forth in this day and time to give us the strength and the power of the grizzly, through love and compassion and strength and protection, through all that it is, through the sacred lands of the Grand Tetons. To the medicine wheel that we had done in May 2008, we thank these sacred birds, the doves of peace, who watch over us and fly above us and give us this wisdom of peace and the sacred whiteness, help lead us in our hearts to give us the strength that we're going to need as the future comes and arrives. I pray that our many nations will awaken to the messages of the four directions, listening to the great Father Sky and the Creator through the Sun, our brother, through our Mother Earth below us, through our grandmother, through the moon. And our stars are united in the heavens and work together in oneness. I pray that our nations will come together like this, united under the stars of the blue, underneath the red, the strength that gives us the power of the heart, to have truth and wisdom and the courage and the power and the wisdom and the honor and the trust and the integrity to walk with each other underneath the sacred elements of Mother Earth. To be sacred human beings, and pray that the humans will turn to be these beings of truth, love for one another. I put these prayers into the water this morning, Great Spirit. I ask you to listen to these messages, to watch over each and every one of us as we help bring awareness through the wisdom of all voices, through communication in all forms that's upon Mother Earth. I pray that these things happen. And the great abundance of all things will be shared with those wisdom carriers and keepers of the north and the south, of the eagle and the condor nations, that they be given the finances and the funds and the visas and all that it is, and the plane tickets and the gas monies and all the things that they will ever need to come to the great gathering. Prophecy will be fulfilled as they come into the center, as the Hopis had mentioned, as the Mayans had mentioned, as the Peruvians, as the white nations had mentioned, as the black and the yellow and the brown nations. Prophecies that were handed down from our ancestors 500 years ago. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years of trials and tribulations. I pray that these things will come and cease, that the prejudices will leave the hearts of humanity. I pray for the women that they will rise again under the leadership of their great wisdom and knowledge, as they gather the great wisdom of dreams and visions to help the men awaken, to protect them, as the women help lead us with direction, as the men will honor them and prepare their ceremonies, to protect them and their children with love. I pray for the sacred waters of the blue-green waters of the oceans to be as pure can be, for the water is the salt that brings us the purity of life, that it is funneled through the sand and cleared and cleansed of the salt that gives us the pure water underneath the earth that comes out in the springs. I pray for the sacred blue-green water as the women touch it with their feet and go deep into the womb of Mother Earth, and to prepare the sacred starseed water that is so pure as pure could be since the beginning of time. This time, the sacred water has been prepared for our people in this time, that when the women will do their water ceremonies at the springs and give the sacred offerings in the water of the oceans and the rivers and the lakes, that the water will hear and will come out of the creases and the womb springs of Mother Earth and come into the water. So when the birds drink this, their seeds of life will turn so pure as pure ever was, so they'll have the pure embryos, and so will the humans, and so will the elk and the deer, and the fish and the snails, and the microorganisms, and all that it is upon the earth will come to be pure as pure can be, as the humans drink the water. Pure, sacred, holy beings of light will come upon the earth again. And purity will come, and peace will come to the earth. Heaven upon earth will arrive once again, as we set things in motion, and the prayers and the thoughts of prophecies that we will become those to inherit a very sacred, beautiful place once again. Great Father, Great Spirit, Mother Earth, holy beings of light in the universe, within the stars, the star nations, we call out to you above and below us in the hollow earth. Adamapa, Apapa, the Kemite, Yodi, Yodi, Yodi. We ask you to come and stand up and be with us. We know the timing is soon, that you will arrive and bring us the great technology and the wisdom that we need, and the food and all that we need that we do not understand yet, that we will remember the plants and the medicines. And the buffalo that plants these seeds within this Yellowstone and the Grand Teton will be protected and honored for what they do for the earth, to keep the medicine strong as they plant them with their hooves and watch over them and make sure that they never perish. We thank these buffalo and give them the prayers that they are watched over and given the respect that they deserve. For the prophecies say that the 4 sacred animals will come once again to the white eagle, to the bear, the wolf, and the white buffalo. And as we walk with these animals into the 5th world, we'll walk side by side. We'll have no fear, for we will not kill them or eat them. Prophecy has stated that we will make the sacred homelands in the canyons as we move into the sacred time, as we walk into a sacred place, and the sacred vibration of many spiritual dimensions and stargates and gateways and doorways will begin to clear these places and bring love back into the land, because of the bondage the earth has been in for close to 5,000 years. Again, many blessings to our people of all cultures and nations. Special prayer for the trees that give us life, that give us the oxygen. We ask them to be blessed this morning and each and every day, for they give us the breath of life underneath the tree of peace. I pray that the weapons will be buried once again, as the prophecies have stated, to the Iroquois Confederacy, to the Hopi nations, to the Shoshone nations. The Dakota will come to be brothers, as they once were, as the Hopis and the Navajo were too, as all nations were, underneath the flag of peace, the hand as it was raised. For the hand of creation was what we created with our thoughts and our emotions, was of peace and love and harmony. The harmony has been broken because of the handshake was not honored. For each and every one, all brothers and sisters of all nations have turned against each other, as prophecy had mentioned. As we continue to move forward, turning each other against each other, if we do not understand how sound and vibration and a spoken word affects all that it is, for purity, for the sacredness of the land to be as pure can be, not affecting the water or the wind or the fire or the earth or the fire grid, the web of life on the earth, and the sacred geometry to the spirit lines, the song lines, the lines that vibrate and harmonize, for the sacred songs and the tones of vibration. that our people will begin to remember what these things mean. For if they forget, the land will turn sick and ill, and so will their cells, because they forgot harmony. The songs of peace that we put into the sacred circles of life, and the web of life, through these sacred mountains and these rivers, and all that it is within this plane of existence. Pray for many of our people to come back into peace, to learn that in the plants there are special beings of light who listen to our voices and manifest what we want if we ask them, if we give them love and sing the songs, the grass songs, the tree songs, the animal songs, the rock songs, the spirit of the mountain songs, the spirit of the wind songs, the spirit of the water songs, the spirit of the earth, the songs that were given to all of the nations of the earth, to the black, the white, the yellow, red, and brown nations, that they begin to sing these songs and give love to all that it is, so it will turn pure again. I put the prayers of peace and love into this landscape this morning, to all of the elements, to the metal, to the wood, to the air, to the water, to the soil, to every leaf and every particle of the sage, to the oxygen, to the air, the breath of life, to our sacredness within our lungs. I ask this oxygen to be as pure can be. So when you breathe this, it charges us full of life. So our heart will be so strong with the electrical charge of life as it beats strong through Mother Earth. It gives us this power for our heart to beat like the drum in the songs. I ask that these things come to be immediately. And we give our sacred leaders of the earth the abundance and the funds and the finances and all that it is that they need to help us bring peace at this time, before these finances will be taken away from us as we go back to the system of trading with one another and giving things freely for freedom to come, as the prophecies have mentioned. As we prepare, I pray that our people will begin to trickle away from greed, materialism, anger, hatred, and war, and deceit, and jealousy, and egos be erased from their minds as they begin to remember why it's so important to learn the messages of love for one another, love for all things, praying for all that we have. As Mother Earth has mentioned, if we do not take care of the gifts that she has given to us freely, and we do not give freely of these things to one another, she has mentioned that they will be taken away one by one. The trees will leave. The plants will leave. The water will leave. The oxygen and air will leave. Where will we be if these things happen to us? Father, many of us are looking for hope. As we prepare these sacred circles to bring the water and the rain, many are now finding this hope in their hearts, that they are the power and the wisdom and the strength of the earth. With their thoughts and their hearts, they will begin to be one within inside themselves, to heal within in the heart of the rose. So I pray again for the Shoshone nations to awaken underneath the heart of the rose. That'll help lead peace within the Shoshone nations around the Grand Tetons and these 28 tribes that we'll set in a great circle again. All the tribes of the earth will come and join us in this sacred circle in the center as we heal from the inside out, from the Tetons out. The sacred place that it is that brings the rainbows 600 miles away. That the people awaken to the knowledge of the web of life that brings us all that it is to the earth. Within these sacred mountains is the wisdom and the knowledge, within the crystals and the sacred doorways and the sacred chambers of knowledge and wisdom. As we had come here before as children, before we were born upon the earth, we were given the instructions of how our homelands work. And the covenant that we agreed to our ancestors as they were given their places to live. In a big circle around us. If we had ever forgotten whatever it was in the past, and our stories were told and shared, and through their dreams and visions has come, have said we came back to remember. If we forgot, we helped one another learn what we had forgotten. Although we had many different ways, those ways were the same and similar. For what we did fix things upon the earth and kept it in harmony and peace. Nature became what we thought it would be, a land of great abundance, of purity, of rebirthing energy through the green, to the red that gave us the power of life and the strength, to the orange that gave us the health and the wisdom of those things to keep our Mother Earth healthy and ourselves and all that it was, to the yellow, the sacredness of the sun that gave us the warmth and the love, to the golden light of the sun that brought us this wisdom, and through the green that rebirthed all that it was. We remembered these songs to rebirth all that it was, with the love that we had in those songs as we put them out with our thoughts, charged by the heart from the holy grail of the lungs, the chakras that line up in the stem that goes down to our sacred connection to the earth, from our navel umbilical cord connected to the sun. To the blue of the sacred waters that would bring us the truth, to speak the spoken truth, for the word that we spoke would become. The people would remember every word that they would say was real, and whatever was said would become. It would go into the wind, it would go into the water, it would go into the soil, it would go into all that it was, to the earth, wind, fire, and water. And they would be great messages of rejoicing love when they understood what this meant once again and remembered. And the words they spoke would now change the whole earth. Only sacred words of peace and harmony within those words that were so pure. And through this indigo that brought us and bridged us with the color of love, to put us all together in a sacred circle in our thoughts and our emotions. As we begin to understand the purple light of the earth is the woman that brought us this love, our mother the earth, through our grandmothers of the mountains that gave the purple light to the women to help lead us underneath the royalty of the purple, to the crown that they wore, the crown jewels, of the purple crystals, the purple light that they would carry within their crown. Mother Earth had shared these wisdoms and knowledges with us, many of us at this time, that this would be time of great awakening, and the women would lead us underneath the moon to the red, the white, and the blue would come back into truth, to the 13 virtues that had been given to the language of English to the white man, to remember those 13 virtues of peace, love, and harmony. I pray that they will remember these and follow what it means, and not the opposite. For all nations and cultures to remember what this means. For they had all fallen from peace, Father, and now the time that they would come back into peace. For those who chose peace, chose this honor and this trust and this respect and this great integrity that they would walk with. The trees are waiting for us. They're singing their songs. They want us to remember, to listen to them. For they have all the songs and all the knowledge and the wisdom as the chickadee, the eagle, the raven, and the robins and the bluebirds and the yellowbirds. All the colors of the rainbows will come back together. To the hummingbird, prophecy says these things will come to be. And I thank our ancestors for giving us this great wisdom of all of our nations of the earth, all the tribes of the earth. Because of the sacred angelic beings, the spiritual ones within all of the life forces, when we talk to them, we would become so pure. When we would ask for their help, they would help us, from Bigfoot to the little people, to the spirits in the water and the spirits in the fire. And all of us would become one in the great circle of life again, communicating, working with each other, as the fairies, as the dwarfs, the little ones, the First Nations of the little people. And again, we recognize these sacred ones. We ask them to know that we are doing our best to help humanity awaken to the truth of how these spiritual beings work. So again, I ask that this sacred time be remembered for all of our nations through the water, especially for these plants. Again, for all the people that are helping doing this work, I ask great blessings for each and every one of them that are sacrificing their times and their efforts to help us, each and every one. I ask prayers for their families, for every footprint that they would take upon the earth would be sacred. To remember that to take care of this earth is that are all crystals, to take nothing for granted, even the smallest grain of sand, for it carries the wisdom and truth of every footprint in it from the ancestors of long ago. As we clear the negative energies, the pains of war, lost souls who died from accidents within these sacred valleys and canyons of the Grand Tetons and elsewhere around the world, our people begin to clean up the earth with the sacred songs and their loves and thoughts to the colors of light, to the energy that they carry. They will remember how to clear and clean all that it is. With their thoughts, they could clear the radiation, the poisons and the toxins from the skies, from the clouds. That everything is okay. Mother Earth, as she prepares to clean herself, as the polar caps melt, the prophecies say this would be the sacred time that would come, that she would clean herself up. This is her protection, so that she would not perish. She would clean herself like taking a bath, and cleaning up the acts of her children who had hurt her sacred carpets upon Mother Earth. Our sacred time is coming. And we pray that our people will awaken to the truth as they prepare to soften the blow of Mother Nature as co-creators with their thoughts and their ceremonies, to fix our lands and all that it is. We pray that the people will awaken to this wisdom and knowledge. And the grandmothers watching and listening this morning, we thank you. We ask you to give us the dreams and guidance that you had always given to us, and help the women guide us as they bring the sacred star children to us to help lead us. We thank you for those young ones that are here, that remember why they came each and every day from this day forward. I thank the thunder beings and the lightning and the colors that they carry under the number 13 as they become the many colors of light through the 144 blends of colors. They turn into the 144 blends of light to the 144 million colors and blends of light, to the moon's rainbows and to the sun's rainbows, the vibration of the stars that awaken us, to the morning star and the evening star, and the four directions and the grandfathers and the grandmothers that hold us together, and above us and below us that charge our heart, that we are all beings of sacredness from our Father and our Mother that got us to the sacred place so we can enjoy beauty, walk in beauty above us, below us, around us. Again, we say, ho, we ho, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessings be to each and every one. May peace prevail. Oh. There's been many questions how we can communicate with nature. Some of the questions ask how we do that. There's the basic way to understand how to do this is to know that once we clear our thoughts and emotions of negativity through painful thinking patterns and many kinds of emotions, that our heart feels freedom in it after we clear being upset with our grandfather or grandmother, or upset with a relation or a friend. If we forgive them and let those things go, we can communicate with the plants and the trees and the rivers and the animals. Like a lot of people talk about horse whisperers they can turn into tree whisperers, whisper with the animals. Hear the whisper in the wind, the voice of the ancestors, our people before us. It's simple, but what's hard is the teachings that has come from the last 7 generations of how we think about things, thinking that we're right about a lot of things, and not understanding that because we think we're right, something that works for us doesn't work for someone else. Everyone heals in a different way, so the healing is needed to come from within us outward. It can't come from the outside in. And the messages and the teachings teach us that to heal from the inside out is to forgive any person who hurt us in order to communicate with nature, the trees, the rocks, and the rivers. Is to heal ourselves and let the pain and sorrow go by jumping to conclusions as children that our parents did something wrong to us, or someone else did something wrong, or we blamed ourselves as a false way of thinking. To hold blame, doubt, sorrow, misery, and guilt. If we held those things, we couldn't communicate with nature. And as the Native Americans and other nations have known, and were told the stories, that they could communicate with all that it was, because all things have a voice and hold consciousness. And that's the way it was that the Great Spirit put it, because of the original instructions, that we listened to everything and gave honor to all that it was, because of what the teachings were about, to the oral instructions, to the rock art and the petroglyphs that speak about this, the dreams speak about this, the ancestors come to us and talk to us about these things. What's so hard to do is becoming disciplined. What's so simple to understand is that that's how it works. It's simple. There's nothing hard. People make it hard because they don't want to become disciplined, because of what's happened in education. Man-made laws has told us for 7 generations, this is the way we'll think. This is how the earth was formed. This is what happened. This is what was done in this country. This is what was done in that country, which is not the truth. And we believe that to be the truth. So the messages say everything that we believe to be the truth today that we were told in education is to erase it and let it go and relearn the truth. Listen to the voice, learn the truth, listen to the oral stories of the tribal nations. So this is the nations of the homelands of the caretakers that was given us 12,000 years ago and longer. And all of our nations the same and similar. And if we would understand these things, it would be so simple for them and everyone, and each and everyone, to listen to the voices that we would hear. Whether it was from the birds, the insects, the plants, the rocks, the water, all that it was would teach us again. We'd hear the teachings of the animals. For the animals, like the wolf, has a sacred pack with a male and a female wolf. In their pack, everything is in order. Everything has a purpose, and they work in a sacred way. They take care of the animals, like the buffalo, the deer, and the elk, and the birds, and they move them from pasture to pasture, rotating the areas so that they would stay pristine. And the wolf created nature. And to learn these things, a lot of people have the wolf come to them and speak to them, and they hear these voices. And then if they go to psychiatrists, they think something's wrong with them, then they put them on drugs like Prozac and Zoloft and other type mind-altering drugs, and that locks down the messages of what we were given because of what's happening. So taking these medicines, these drugs, takes away the voice of the trees, the rivers, the rocks, and the animals. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yes, there are many ways of understanding spirituality. But these are the basis of the wisdom. Because through all nations and cultures we can hear everything. But it's having love in our hearts. That's basically it. And forgiving everyone, giving up the right to be right, honoring each other for each other. If we can do that, then we could hear the voices of all things.
How do you hear the voices?
As you're walking, you hear the voices in your head. As you're vision questing, you'll see like a ghostly image come. The ancestors will show up. people hear about ghosts and spirits and all these things, they're real. They're not fairy tales. They're not made up figments of the imagination. All of these spirits will come. As you sleep, they'll come in your dreams. As you walk, you'll hear the voice in your head, or you'll hear the voice, the trees talking to you. They'll come in many directions, in many ways. And whatever it is, you'll get it that way. One may hear the voice in the wind just by walking. Another may sit and see a dream in their head as they close their eyes, like a TV set going off. Everyone is different. Everyone's not the same. But know, whatever you are is what you get in your life, in your gifts, that's who you are. You won't be the same as anyone else. So if someone can see it, that's fine. But you may hear it. That's the way it is. You may dream it. That's the way it is. Others may not get it that way. But whatever way that the people will get it and see it and hear it is the way that they get it. And once they understand how this works and honor each other, what one did one way is a reflection that they can understand that. And if you got 5 people and they reflect how they get information and hear it, then people begin to awaken and they become a mirror image of how they can do it. They might use 5 pieces of five directions of 5 people, in other words. They can hear that from them, and then that gives them something to represent, like a mirror image, that they could do it in their way or another way. So it doesn't make any difference which way it is, that everyone is different and unique, and they'll get it in their own way. But the others represent a mirror for them to recognize how that works, and then they figure out what works for them, and then that's their way. Everyone is different.
Do you want to just quickly explain something about the grandmothers? The mountains?
Like what? I did earlier. I'll do it again.
The prayer.
Yes. These grandmothers on these peaks and grandfathers. They represent the 4 directions, and the above and below. And in the center of these mountains is a heart. And right up there in the snow, you can't see it, there's a 4 direction mark. And that's the heart of the Tetons. And when we sit and meditate, we send our thoughts into the middle. It's like sending our spirit into there, and we communicate with all wisdom, all knowledge. There's no mysteries. This is why we use these grandmothers. That's what they represent for us. The teachers of all wisdom and knowledge of how the universe works, how the earth works, how the elements work of the earth, wind, fire, and water, and the teachings of all that it is. If you want to learn about the plants, that's where it's at. If you want to learn about the air, that's where it's at. Whatever it is you want to learn about is there.
So there's a spirit in those mountains.
The voice of the ancestors is there. The spirit is electrical magnetic energy. The spirit is the voice of all things. To the power of the earth is the charge of life, which is a life force energy. The life force energy is spiraling energies of the plumed serpent, cables connected to the earth, and spiraling energies. When you watch the rain, you see the lines coming in. Those are the spirals of light, charged by water. That is the rainbows. And those cables, if we break them loose from the earth, we break the light coming from the earth, and they break loose, and then the light leaves the earth. So we're told to repair these life force cables with our ceremonies, sealing the holes and the cuts in the earth. And so that these mountains, these sacred places, these mounds of the earth, Mother Earth's breasts, are everywhere. If you look all the way around, everything is pointed. And that's where the cables connect to the top of those points and peaks and sacred sites. So protecting these sacred sites is very important. And we're told never to go up there unless we were as pure can be and only had good thoughts, loving, caring thoughts. And if we didn't, that's crystals, we'd reprogram the sacredness with darkness, low vibrational thoughts. Maybe going up there and not thinking good thoughts about a friend, or being upset, or fall to our doom and die. And we'd be laying there in pain, and our pain would be transferred into the snow, transferred into the stone. The snow would come, run over that thought, and then it would run down into the rivers, and then we'd drink that pain and become it. People's souls would be trapped up there. If they mountain climbed, they would be trapped there. If the people went up in the trailheads, went up into the rivers, and they argued and fought and took their drinking up there and took their drugs, their marijuana, their cocaine, Whatever they did up there that wasn't of purity and love, they would infect the mountain and would lose its power of wisdom and strength, because it would darken it. And then it wouldn't have a charge or a high spirit of energy. It wouldn't have the light. So what we're told to do is to bless it with our songs, bless the rivers, and clear the negative energy, just like healing ceremonies. You would clear yourself, you could clear the mountains. And that's what the grandmothers ask us to do, is to teach the nations about the wellness of the earth. And if the people don't understand that, they don't believe it, well, they'll suffer their own destiny of whatever they do will come upon them. And because of the wisdom that's given from our people, is saying for our nations to awaken. If they don't want to awaken, that's fine. We're to honor them, because this is a time like no other time in the whole history of the earth. A lot of people say, oh, we've heard that 20 years ago, 100 years. Everybody says it's the end of the earth, end of the world. Well, it's not the end of the world. It's the end of an era of time. That for these people who don't believe that the sun is coming into a high vibration, the moon, the stars, and the planets are matching a sound and a tone and a vibration. And when that hits the earth, if we haven't come into peace, we can't match that vibration, and our cells will shake and they will fall apart and will disappear on the earth. We won't have a life here. Their life will be erased because of their actions and thoughts. If they do not choose to follow the teachings of peace, because the Great Spirit, the Creator, God, the same in one, has mandated peace only. Those who choose peace will match the vibration. Those who don't choose peace will not match the vibration, and they will leave. So like it says in many of the texts, many stories, only the meek, the mild, and the kind, and the loving and the caring people will inherit the planet. Because anyone who doesn't match that life force energy coming in, that vibration, doesn't have a chance here. So anyone warring and fighting, picking up weapons, carrying anger, carrying hatred, will take themselves out. All we have to do is sit and be patient, take care of the lands, keep it pure with our thoughts. It's alchemy, whatever we think we make. In our ceremonies, we've been told these things. Now we're asking the rest of the nations to understand this. So like in the law of attraction, they got this movie out, or documentary about The Secret, and it talks about whatever you think is what you make. Well, we've been saying that for 500 years, the Native Americans, to humanity when they came into America. That's why the land was so beautiful, because whatever the people thought, it was. But history says, well, there were droughts, and there was always a drought here and there, and it's needed. Well, they're not needed, because what the people did was put the thoughts into nature, and they think it's a cycle because it keeps replaying itself. Mother Earth would want her plants to survive, and us to survive in those areas. And the way we did that was we put our thoughts there with our ceremonies, and it worked. And now we're showing it works still, because of the ceremonies that we are promoting through the earth wisdom, earth knowledge, through the organization that my organization that I put together. That is not my organization, it's the dreams and the visions, but following through with these things is asking our people to learn about the earth wisdom again, to awaken that whatever we think we make. This was a more beautiful place than it is now. But droughts came. But it doesn't mean that the drought has to stay here. And it didn't stay here because we did the ceremonies to bring the water and the rain back. Now, if we can heal a drought, we can heal a volcano that we did here and did those ceremonies. What else can we do with our thoughts? And that's what we're asking the people to remember. Now, the tribal nations have this wisdom and knowledge in their stories, in their myths, their legends, in their actions today. And so through those indigenous nations of the Americas, they hold the fail-safe key to peace for the whole world. If they would come together, set together, and get over their differences with each other, and get over their differences with the other nations, like the white nations that they're still upset over, there's not a need for that to keep being upset, because that won't allow them to get their power and their energy of peace for them to awaken, to let all those things go, like Columbus. And even the black nations are mad at the white nations, for them to let that go. Then you got the yellow nations who are upset with the white nations for dropping the atomic bomb on them. And all nations have done things to each other. Now the messages are, that was in the past. Let all those things go. Anything that happened yesterday is let it go. Because if we don't let it go, we will perish upon the earth, because that's how the energy is working. Those who go against the force will force themselves out of here. And that means whatever they act like, their children will turn into, and they will curse their children, and their children will leave too. So the messages are that, and it's for everyone to consider this information and wisdom. And everyone has a choice, and we're to honor those who choose not to do anything. So anyone who does fighting and killing and murdering, tearing up the earth and this and that, is teaching us what not to do. And the messages say, since we know how to fix it, we go fix it right away. And that now teaches us to forgive those people who are doing those things, who are warring and fighting. And we got leaders who are not in a good manner. People are mad at them. Well, they're taking their power away, and they're putting anger and hatred on them. That makes it worse, and their lives are going downhill because of holding anger and pain. Their cells are decaying, tumors, cancers, viruses, suicides. These things are happening because of the actions of their own doing, because they forgot the teachings of love and peace and harmony and how to heal. And we're bringing these messages, and there are many teachers to teach us in all the nations. For the white nations, there's many powerful teachers, and then the black, powerful teachers of wisdom. And then you got the yellow nations, and then you got the red nations and the brown. And so all those teachers and teachings are in those groups, and that's why we're to turn towards each other. And we've turned our backs on each other, and the dreams are saying, turn around, face each other in our eyes, and forgive each other, for it wasn't us who did it in this lifetime. And why are we holding the pain and sadness and sorrow? And when we learn why, then we know why it's important to let it go. But if we do not let it go, we will perish upon the planet and will not inherit heaven upon earth that's coming. Mother Earth will fix it. So, Father and Creator. So those are the messages, and many messages, but that's the shortest I can put it. So anyway.
This is windy from Wind River.
Yes, I'm from the Wind Rivers, we're bringing the water.